خانم ماریچه اسخاکه، نماینده پارلمان هلند و عضو هیئت پارلمانی اروپا در بلژیک که من با او در محل پارلمان اروپا ملاقات کردم و ازش پرسیدم که در مورد زنان ایران توی سفرش چه چیزهایی رو از نزدیک دیده که شاید تا پیش از این سفر در موردشون چیزی نمیدونست.
I was much more aware of the plight of women, of the lack of equal rights and opportunities for women by going to Iran and by being among them, meeting them in the streets, seeing how they have to sit in a different part of the bus, learning about the family laws that are not equal, about the lack of political participation, which is of course something that I really look for, and I see only 9 members of parliament female. So I think that there's a big gap between the huge potential of girls and women in Iran. 63% of the university students are girls. I'm not surprised, but I think they deserve more room and more rights and more freedoms to craft their own future the way in which they want to. And I think that anyone that is governing Iran, that is part of the state and the government, should not be afraid of the people, but really believe and know that the country will flourish once the people have more opportunity to craft their own future.
حالا سوالم اینه که شما در دیدارتون با مسئولان جمهوری اسلامی در مورد وضعیت حقوق بشر هم آیا گفتگویی داشتید؟
Very concretely, when we met with Mr. Larijani of the Human Rights Council, as it's called, we addressed a lot of issues like the death penalty, where the EU would like to see an end to the death penalty, particularly for juveniles. But we also talked about freedom of expression, about the fact that civilians are still tried before revolutionary courts, and we would like to ask why this is.
What was their reaction to this issue?
Well, it's never easy to talk about human rights because the differences between how we see them are huge. There are cultural differences that may explain this. We believe in the universality of human rights, and in Iran the constitution of the Islamic Republic is the basis upon which they view human rights. But the dialogue is important, and we would like to make it a more permanent one so that we can continue to talk about the human rights of all people in Iran because we believe that there is a lot to discuss, and we will be happy to continue to do that at every opportunity we get.
خیلی هم میپرسن که مقامات جمهوری اسلامی وقتی زنان سیاستمدار رو میبینن آیا چهره به چهره بهشون میگن که شما باید چه نوع پوششی داشته باشین یا از طریق بخشنامه و دفترچه هایی بهشون آموزش داده میشه؟ همین سوال رو از خانم ماریچه اسخاکه پرسیدم.
Well, before we travel to Iran, of course, we get a briefing pack, and it has all kinds of information in there. It informs us that we cannot pay with a credit card or a bank pass, but that we have to bring cash. And it also informs us that the law requires women to cover their hair. So, of course, I was aware that in the Islamic Republic this is mandatory. But when I looked in the streets of Tehran, I saw so many different ways in which women wear their scarf. Some of them wear chador, others wear a scarf that is barely covering their hair. They're quite fashionable, I think, the girls in Tehran. I've seen a lot of very, very beautiful outfits and very creative outfits. But so I saw a lot of variation, a lot of diversity on the streets in Iran.
What would be your response to Iranian government when they were forcing you in front of you, I mean face to face, and saying you have to wear our religious symbols?
Maybe I should just ask people who are not familiar with the experience how Iranian officials would feel if they were forced to wear a religious symbol when they were visiting Europe.
خانم ماریچه اسخاکه نماینده پارلمان اروپا هست که با مقامات ایران از نزدیک دیدار کرد. از اون میپرسم که آیا شناخت او از ایران هم فقط از طریق مقامات ایران بوده یا از طریق شبکه‌های اجتماعی هم متوجه شده که چهره دیگری هم ایران داره که معمولاً سانسور میشه؟ پاسخش رو بشنوید.
I believe that the population of Iran is very, very inspiring in the way that they manage to live in difficult circumstances, in their level of knowledge and education, their scientific knowledge, their culture and the background, the century-old civilization that they've built on. So I think Iranian people, in their creativity, artists, filmmakers, writers, poets, are very inspiring to all of us. And it would be very nice if we could have more meetings, more people-to-people contact, not only be bogged down in the political discussions that are difficult, but to really allow people to freely contact each other. And social media is, of course, a phenomenal new opportunity to do that. And even if it is not allowed to freely go on the World Wide Web in Iran, a lot of people do. I think that that's not a secret. They are creative to go on Facebook and to share their opinions, to even take videos with the song Happy, for example, that we saw the Iranian variation. And I get a lot of information about Iran from Iranian people. I'm in contact with people in Iran through social media, and it is also where I learned about my stealthy hijab. And I think it is one of the very interesting manifestations of the will of Iranian people to be free to decide whether or not they want to wear a religious symbol. I could also tell on the airplane that not everybody wants to. It is only after the flight attendants inform the people on the airplane that it is required to cover with a religious symbol that people do.